Ladies and gentlemen, this is my WrestleMania 42 entire review. What's going on, guys? My name is Kyle Johnson. Thank you so much for stopping by. So instead of making two separate videos about this, I decided to just do it all in one, an all-in-one review of both nights of WrestleMania 42. In this video, I'm going to talk about each night individually. I'm going to say kind of what I thought about each night individually. I'm going to give my thoughts on every match, on every outcome. I'm going to talk about the weekend as a whole, what I thought, and just any and all thoughts pertaining to WrestleMania. So if you enjoy this video and more content like it, be sure to subscribe, tap the little bell for notifications, because I will be back every single week with brand new content. And we got tons of content coming your way, ladies and gentlemen. We got this. I'm going to do a predicting next year's WrestleMania card video. I'm going to be predicting the Backlash card. I might even do a review of the Raw after Mania, which airs tonight as of the recording of this video. It all depends on what happens. And we have tons of new champions, so I might also do another Who Dethrones Every Champion and When video. So be sure to tap the little bell because there's going to be a lot of content coming your way. Anyways, let's get into the video. Let's start off with night one of WrestleMania. I'll be honest, this was the show that I was looking the most forward to out of the two. When you look at the two cards on paper, it's like, oh, night one is going to be so much better than night two, at least on paper. And we'll get into kind of what the outcome of that was as this video progresses. You'll start to realize a pattern. Let's start off by talking about the opener, the match between Logan Paul, Austin Theory, and IShowSpeed versus the Usos and LA Knight. This match, honestly, there's nothing to talk about, to be totally honest with you. It was like maybe 8 minutes long, 7 or 8 minutes, I think. I was looking at the times. It's like 7 to 8 minutes. Not a lot happened. IShowSpeed got a couple cool spots in where like he body slammed LA Knight. He was taking some bumps in there, doing some flips. IShowSpeed looked decent in this match. Of course, there was the dissension where IShowSpeed accidentally knocked Logan Paul off the apron by shoving, I think it was LA Knight, into Logan Paul. Austin Theory yelled at IShowSpeed, which caused a distraction and allowed LA Knight to get the win for his team by pinning Austin Theory. Logan Paul then turned on IShowSpeed after the match, and IShowSpeed was saved by the Usos and LA Knight, allowing IShowSpeed to do a huge frog splash spot off the top rope through the announce table to Logan Paul. This wasn't bad. I just think there wasn't enough going on. I think it was very short. But, like, honestly, I wasn't too upset about it at the time because it's like, to be honest, I kind of expected the first two matches of every night to be short because of that hour time constraint where they did it hour free on ESPN or whatever it was. Little did I know what was to come. Up next, we had Jacob Fatu versus Drew McIntyre in the unsanctioned match. And if you guys saw my predictions video, I actually said this and maybe even spoke it into existence. I was worried that WWE was going to produce a watered-down version of this match, and that's exactly what they did. This match was a great, like, normal no disqualification match. Hell, it could have even been like an okay street fight, but as an unsanctioned match, this match was terrible. It was watered down. There was no insane spots. They were in the ring like 90% of the time. They were just in the ring. It didn't really spill much outside. They used standard weapons like chairs and a toolbox and tables. Like, it was a no disqualification match. Especially when you compare it to Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens' unsanctioned match, this thing was utter trash. And like, if any match on the WrestleMania card warranted blood, it was this one. And we had no blood. They didn't bleed an ounce, either man, during this match. Jacob Fatu won with the mighty moonsault through a table, and it was kind of underwhelming. I wish I could say things got better from there. and like, well, it was just the first hour free thing that kind of sucked. Now we're getting into second gear. Let's just say that wasn't exactly the case. From there, I think we moved on to the Women's Tag Team Championship Fatal 4-Way match. And we did have a really nice moment where Paige made her return as the surprise partner for Brie Bella because of Nikki Bella's injury. And Paige got a hell of a pop. I'll be honest, this moment would have been so much better and so much more impactful if it didn't leak on the internet first. I'm kind of disappointed that it leaked first because, like, that would have been a ginormous moment if not for that. It was still a big moment. It was still cool, but not nearly as good. And again, this is another match that suffered. It had about 7 minutes of runtime. Nobody was really able to get their spots in besides Paige. The whole match was revolved around a Paige hot tag. I'd honestly say Paige and Lyra Valkyria were probably the only two that got any sort of like shine in at all. Because I can't tell you a single spot that any other person did in that match, besides Alexa Bliss taking the pin at the end. I guess there was the moment with Charlotte and Paige too, the little brief moment between those two that was cool. But other than that, like, the champions were basically forgotten in this match. The champions had no shine whatsoever in this match. And I get it because, like, obviously Paige is the big returnee. The crowd is going to be rallying behind her, waiting for that Paige hot tag. That all makes sense. But that wouldn't have been a problem if the match got more time. Because if the match got more time, you could have built the whole first half of the match around the Paige hot tag. All that could have been the same, but then you could have added like 5 or 10 minutes on the back end and make an actual genuinely great tag team match. Another thing that kind of grinds my gears that I'm just kind of going to say is that WWE needs to decide what the rules are for a Fatal 4-Way tag team match. So many times I see only 2 people in the ring and anybody can tag anybody. This time it was 4 people in the ring at one time. Like, can you please narrow down the rules for a Fatal 4-Way tag team match? If you ask me, I personally like a member from each team being in there at once. I don't like the one-on-one thing. But anyway, Paige and Brie Bella did win the tag team titles, which I did expect once I saw Paige returning. I did predict Lyra and Bayley to win, but obviously once Paige returned, I kind of knew 100% that it was going to be Paige and Brie that won the tag titles. A lot of people are upset by this. I don't expect their reign to be very long. I think this could be a very similar situation to Becky and Lyra. I don't know if they're necessarily going to lose the titles that quick because that would just be a carbon copy of last year. And I think that would be pretty stupid. I give them till like Backlash, at least, maybe a little longer. But I don't see them holding the titles into the summer. Next up, we had Becky Lynch versus AJ Lee. And this was the match that probably pissed me off the most. Like, you have a match that has been building since the fall, since like September, or whenever the heck AJ Lee returned. They've had not necessarily 3 matches, but 3 like big interactions with one another, being at WrestlePalooza, War Games, and then their one-on-one match at Elimination Chamber. This was like the big climax. And I shit you not, they gave these women 8 minutes. I think at this point you guys are starting to notice a trend, as was I, as I was watching the show. Like, holy crap, these matches are incredibly short. And considering on ESPN, which is what I was watching on, we had 5 minutes of ad breaks in between every single match, it's ridiculous. The ad breaks were almost as long as the AJ Lee Becky Lynch match in its entirety, and that annoys the shit out of me. This is one of your big feuds going into WrestleMania with 2 of your big stars, and you give them 8 minutes? This is truly insane, truly awful, truly despicable. The stuff they were doing in the ring honestly weren't even that bad. Like, there was some cool stuff. They did some cool stuff with Jessica Carr. And I think if you would have added just another 10 minutes to this match, it would have been fantastic. But given 8 minutes, what are you able to do in 8 minutes? I mean, who knows? And I just want to take this moment right now to shout out the superstars on night 1 of WrestleMania, because they took the absolute shitty times that they were given, and I can genuinely say that they made the most out of it. For 7 to 8 minute matches, all the matches on the WrestleMania card were pretty good for the short time that they had. Like for short 7 to 8 minute matches, this was a great match, and so were all the other ones. It's just they weren't given enough time to really truly make it a fantastic match. So props to all the superstars for making the most out of the time that they were given, but they shouldn't have had to. This was incredibly unfortunate. Becky Lynch did end up winning back the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Who knows when we're going to see AJ Lee next? I was really disappointed by this. Next up was Seth Rollins versus Gunther, and at this point, I was seething watching this because I'm just sitting there and I'm like, if they don't give this match some time, I might genuinely turn off the TV. And thankfully, they did give this match a little bit of time. And at this point, stupid, silly me, I was getting hope of like, oh wow, like maybe the latter half of the show is going to be a lot better. Maybe they just rushed through the first half of the show. Nay. Gunther and Seth Rollins did have like a decent 15-minute match that was pretty good. It was the match of the night to that point, honestly. They were doing some really cool stuff. Obviously, you have two of the best in ring. I still genuinely think you could have given these guys like 5 more minutes and it would have been like a match of the year contender. But of course, right when the match gets into like third gear, Braun Breaker made his return. It was literally out of nowhere. I think the buildup to that return could have been a lot better. Literally, Braun just showed up out of the blue and speared Seth Rollins. Like, I think they could have built up to that moment a little more. Then Gunther got Seth in the ring and obviously choked him out with the sleeper hold for Gunther to win. Braun Breaker then did run back to the ring and spear Seth Rollins on the outside, which I'm glad they added that little moment because I was afraid that Braun Breaker's return was going to be just completely glossed over on top of everything else that has been glossed over on the show. But thankfully, they made him like the exclamation point at the end of the match as well, which I think was good. Unfortunately, things go right back down to terrible from here because we had Liv Morgan versus Stephanie Vaquer for the Women's World Championship, and you already know what I'm going to say. This match was 8 minutes long. I think it was actually 7 minutes long. It was one of the shortest matches of the night, and considering this was the Women's World title match, I was livid. They hardly gave these two any time. Again, I will say with the time that they did have, they did cook. Obviously, it's Liv Morgan and Stephanie Vaquer. Obviously, they put on a great match with the time they were given, but this could have gone another 10 minutes easy. In the end, Liv Morgan did win the Women's World Championship thanks to a Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez interference, but I was disappointed. We then had a crazy segment where John Cena was announcing the attendance figures for the show for Bianca Belair to come out, make her return, and I was so confused. I was watching this and I'm just like, why wouldn't they save this for night 2? But it quickly became abundantly clear. As Bianca Belair had a surprise announcement saying that the EST is having a baby. Bianca Belair is pregnant, and I couldn't be more excited for her. Congratulations, Bianca Belair and Montez Ford. Very exciting. Kind of stinks that we're going to have to go a little bit longer without Bianca Belair, but genuinely, I am very happy for her. And then we get to our main event of night 1 with Randy Orton taking on Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship. I think Cody had a really cool entrance here. He did kind of like all of his gear throughout the years and a really cool intro. And I will say, I was actually pleasantly surprised by this match, which says a whole lot about the rest of the Mania card, considering this was the match that I was looking forward to the least out of the night 1 card, and it was probably my favorite match of the show. I think WWE realized the issue that they had with the celebrity involvement, and thankfully they took Pat McAfee and Jelly Roll out of it right at the start. I was really happy about that Jelly Roll took Pat McAfee out at the very beginning, like before the bell even rang. That was fantastic, and we did get our straight one-on-one between Cody and Randy. The match started slow, but eventually it really did start to get into another gear and started to get pretty entertaining, in my opinion. We had Cody Rhodes low blow Randy Orton and really go to that dark place that we haven't really seen him go before. We had Randy Orton RKO Charles Robinson, the referee. We had a Cody Cutter intercepted by an RKO for Randy Orton to potentially win, but there was no referee. Only for Pat McAfee to run down in a ref shirt, count the two, and Cody Rhodes kicks out. Only for Randy Orton to RKO Pat McAfee as well, which I thought was leading to a double turn because Cody Rhodes then grabbed Randy Orton immediately into a crossroads to retain the title. Randy Orton then attacked him with the title post-match and finally hit the punt. I thought the post-match angle was pretty cool. I know a lot of people were kind of upset by it because they're like, what exactly did we accomplish here? This, that, and the other. Like, where do we go from here? This was so confusing. I thought Randy was turning face and then he turned heel again at the end of the match. I genuinely think that WWE is going to redo this feud without Pat McAfee, without Jelly Roll, without TKO. I genuinely think they're going to try to run this feud back and redo it, which I think honestly would be a good call because there was so much missed opportunity here. Overall, I thought night one was terrible. I genuinely did not enjoy it at all. Even the main event, which was the longest match of the night, was only 23 minutes. Like, every match was incredibly short. They had 5-minute ad breaks in between every single match. It was insulting. It was honestly insulting, and more so insulting to the fans who paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to be in their seats. Like, you're telling me you were begging people to buy tickets, to drain their pockets, to buy tickets, to come to the show for weeks and weeks and weeks. You even made a storyline out of it. You were begging people to come to this show to only give them like an hour and a half of actual wrestling. That's completely ridiculous and totally unreasonable. Night one of WrestleMania gets a big thumbs down for me. And if this is the norm for WrestleMania, I am so scared for the future because night one really felt like it lost the identity of WrestleMania. There was no pre-match hype packages. The special entrances that we did have, I felt were kind of rushed through, as was everything else on this show, all to get their little ad spots in. And I don't want to give TKO any ideas, but I genuinely believe they're going to try to make this like the Super Bowl, where it's like mostly known for the ads. And if they do that, I swear to God, I might actually stop watching. But anyway, let's get on to night two. One thing I will say right off the gate is I actually do like that WWE had different set designs for night one and night two of WrestleMania. They had different looks on the Tron, which I think was a really good call. I kind of like the idea of night one and night two having their own identities. And boy, howdy, did they need it, because WrestleMania night two really needed to separate itself from the shit show that was night one. We kicked off with Oba Femi versus Brock Lesnar, and this match, I know a lot of people were upset about it because of how short it was, but this was exactly what it needed to be. Brock tried to knock down Oba a couple times, but Oba no-sold it. Oba clobbered Brock Lesnar and laid him out. Brock Lesnar was like outside of the ring. He was super pissed off. And then he got a little bit back on Oba Femi. He threw him into the post. He threw him into the stairs, threw him back into the ring, even hit an F5 on Oba, but Oba stood up right away, basically no selling the F5, hit a choke slam, hit a fall from grace to beat Brock Lesnar. And what did I tell you guys? When I made the predictions video, I told you guys if WWE did this, they would make a megastar overnight. And now we got this dude calling out Roman Reigns on the post show. Like, you made a new main eventer overnight in Oba Femi by doing this. This was 100% the right call, exactly how this needed to go. The thing that actually shocked me at the end, though, was actually Brock Lesnar taking off the gloves, taking off his boots, and seemingly retiring. We had Brock Lesnar get in the ring with Paul Heyman, and Brock gave the X. He said he's done, and he hugged Paul Heyman, said his goodbyes to WWE, and seemingly retired. I don't think I mind if Brock Lesnar did go out on this match, because I think this was a terrific way for Brock to go out, putting Oba over and really cementing his legacy. Because I'll tell you one thing, guys, you say what you want about Brock Lesnar. When this man wants to put somebody over, he puts somebody over better than anybody else. Like, Brock knows how to put people over in a way that's absolutely insane when he wants to. And he put Oba over huge here. I could also see a world where Gunther's favor for Paul Heyman is to get Brock back for one more match so that he can retire Brock. I could also see that becoming a thing. But if this is the end, first of all, thank you, Brock. And second of all, I think this was a nice ending. We then had the Intercontinental Championship ladder match. Exactly as you would expect, this thing was crazy. JD McDonough was only in this match to take all the big bumps. You can't convince me otherwise. This dude got killed in this match. He took a couple bumps off a ladder. He took a back body drop onto a ladder. He took a Mexican destroyer on a ladder bridge. Like, this dude was taking crazy move after crazy move. Javon was definitely the highlight in this match, flying all over the ring. Boy, was genuinely bouncy. He even had this really cool moment where he hit, I think it was Rusev. He jumped off the top rope and hit Rusev off a ladder with an OG cutter. That was pretty sick. And I did think Javon Evans was going to win, but it was Penta at the end of the day that did pick up the victory and retain the title. And I said that in my prediction video. I said it was either going to be Javon or Penta. I was hesitant to stick with my Javon pick because, as I said in that video, I know WWE really loves Penta. But this match was very good. I very much enjoyed it. Next up, we had Sami Zayn versus Trick Williams for the United States Championship. And this match felt lifeless, only because of how much this crowd freaking hated Sami Zayn. Like, this crowd, this wasn't heel heat. This wasn't like, boo, Sami, you suck, Sami. This is, you should not be in this match heat. But they were heavily in favor of Trick, and they did give Trick a loud ovation. Trick's entrance was really sick. His parents were in the crowd, and obviously Trick Williams did win the title after a couple of minutes. This match was short, just like the other matches on night one, but to be totally honest with you, this match probably needed to be short. I personally didn't want to see it go any longer than it did. And I don't think the crowd in attendance did either. Trick Williams wins the US title, 100% the right call. People asking what's next for Sami Zayn, I think the only appropriate option is a heel run. They will not accept him as a babyface anymore. Sami Zayn as a babyface is done. And if you try to force that narrative, it's going to go horribly for you. We then had Finn Balor versus Dominic Mysterio in what was made a street fight on the Countdown show. First of all, I just want to say Dominic's entrance, the King of the Luchador entrance, I think was really cool. And of course, Demon Finn Balor's entrance is always something special. I think this match becoming a street fight was a good idea. It did give this match a little bit more life, and honestly, I thought it was more violent than the Jacob Fatu Drew McIntyre match, which I think is sad. There was like this really cool spot in the match where Finn Balor had Dominic's like neck in a chair, and he gave him the drop kick into the corner with the chair around his neck. Like, that looked brutal. And of course, Finn Balor got the win with the coup de grace through the table, which looked absolutely nasty. I don't know what's next for these guys. I could see them having a blow-off match with just normal Finn Balor. But I could also see the two moving on. I really don't know what's next for this. But it was a pretty decent match. I did enjoy it, and I think Finn Balor winning was the right call. Now let's talk about the WWE Women's Championship match between Jade Cargill and Rhea Ripley. This match, honestly, I think was one of Jade Cargill's best matches that she ever had. I think these two have really great chemistry with each other. They put on a really great back and forth match. Had a lot of heat to it, I thought, personally. Of course, things picked up when Jade Cargill's mid-card of evil faction came down and tried to cost Rhea Ripley the match. And then obviously Io Sky came in to even the odds. Io Sky took out both BFAB and Michin, and it allowed Rhea Ripley to get the Riptide to become the new WWE Women's Champion. And I see this as a polarizing decision too. I saw a lot of people on social media hating on this. I personally love this. I think it was the right call, especially with Bianca being out even longer now, since that Bianca and Jade match clearly isn't in the cards. The best thing to do was to just move on from this Jade Cargill reign. Let's stop pretending like it was good. It wasn't. And I am excited for Rhea Ripley to be women's champion again. I genuinely think a SummerSlam match between her and Io for the title should be the move. I 100% believe that. We then had John Cena out again to announce the attendance figure for night 2 and the grand total attendance for both nights, only for The Miz and Kit Wilson to come out, say they want their WrestleMania moment, which led to Danhausen coming out with a bunch of little Danhausens. I thought this segment was hilarious. I got my John Cena Danhausen interaction, and it absolutely did not disappoint. This was just hilarious. And if anyone's hating on this, it's just like, have a little fun. Please, for the love of God, just put a little fun in your life. Wrestling can be fun and silly sometimes, which led immediately into our main event of CM Punk versus Roman Reigns. And I gotta tell you guys, this main event was such a breath of fresh air, in my opinion. This match had no run-ins, had no shock endings, had no surprise returns, was not overbooked to hell. This match was simply the two guys advertised going to war, which is something in the main event of WrestleMania you really don't see anymore. The only problem I did have with this match was the fact that they started using steel steps and putting each other through the announce table and all that stuff. And of course, on commentary, they use the excuse of, like, obviously the referee's not going to throw this out. Like, this is the main event of WrestleMania. They don't want to see this end in a DQ. Which, valid point. But in that vein, I genuinely think that that should just be a caveat that comes with the main event of WrestleMania now. I just think the main event of WrestleMania should just genuinely be no DQ, like, every year. Honestly, getting to the point where it's like it's mixing kayfabe and reality. In reality, yes, we don't want to see this match end in a DQ for the main event of WrestleMania. That would be horrible. But in kayfabe, the referees should be enforcing the rules of the match, no matter what. So in that vein, if we're talking about any other professional sporting event, like, Roman Reigns should have been disqualified. Obviously, outside of kayfabe, that would have been a horrible idea. We all would have rioted. It would have been the worst case scenario. But I'm talking about in kayfabe. So if that's what they're going to do from now on, I think genuinely just make every WrestleMania main event no DQ, to not allow for the possibility of a WrestleMania main event ending in a disqualification. But I genuinely think this match was fantastic. These two men beat the hell out of each other. They went to war. CM Punk got busted open pretty decently into this match. And the ending sequence was genuinely perfect. I think these two are such great storytellers. It got to a point where both men were basically dead. Both men, you could tell, had next to nothing left. And it was just coming down to who had a slight bit more left in the tank. And it turned out to be Roman Reigns, because CM Punk got Roman Reigns up for one final GTS and then collapsed to the ground, allowing Roman Reigns to hit 2 spears to get the win and become the new world heavyweight champion. I loved this match. I loved this main event. I think it was perfect. I think, especially now since Roman said he's being full-time over the summer, I am A-okay with Roman Reigns being world heavyweight champion. My only gripe with it was if he was going to be part-time, and apparently he's not going to be part-time. So if that's the case, bring on the OTC. Anyway, guys, that was my review of WrestleMania both nights. If you want my honest overall review, night 2 felt like WrestleMania. Night 2 was just a great night of wrestling. Some of the matches were short, but the matches that needed time got time. I felt like this show was not nearly as rushed through as night 1 was, and it was just a vast improvement over night 1. Night 1 was fast-paced, felt rushed through. It felt like WWE didn't have a care in the world about night 1. It felt like a let's just get this over with kind of show. And that's not how WrestleMania should feel. I think we had some pretty great moments at this WrestleMania. Brock with his retirement, Oba being cemented as a huge star, Trick winning his first championship on the main roster, the Paige return, the Braun Breaker return, Bianca announcing her pregnancy. We did have some great moments at this WrestleMania. I think this could have been an all-time WrestleMania if WWE just didn't rush through the first night. If you would have just given night one matches so much more time, this could have been an all-timer WrestleMania. Night one sucked. I was really fulfilled with night two, thankfully. Night two, I thought, top to bottom, night two, I thought was a great show. I didn't really have a gripe with anything on night two, whereas night one, I had a gripe with almost everything. But let me know what you guys thought down in the comments about WrestleMania. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. And stay tuned, as I said at the beginning of this video, because I have a lot of content coming your way. Thanks for watching.